is only war.
What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. We got a great night video for you guys today. It's going to be how to win in the movement phase. So back in 9th edition, we used to win in the psychic phase. Psychic phase, it took 20, 25 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes if you had a lot of fucking psychers. This edition, 10th edition, it's winning in the movement phase. So if you guys are playing Grey Knights, you're looking to get into Grey Knights, or you just started Grey Knights, this video is kind of to show you what kind of tactics you can be using in the movement phase to use it to your advantage. Now, there's a lot of things that really go over with the Grey Knights. There's going to be a ton of videos up on the channel if you guys haven't seen them already. But if you guys are Patreons, I do appreciate you guys. I have to give you guys a shout out always, because without you guys, I wouldn't be doing as many videos as I can on the channel. It's mainly to get you guys better at 40k. That's the whole point of Dirtbags, is to drink beers, have fun, and play 40k at a competitive level. If you guys are interested in getting in the competitive scene, $10 a month will get you competitive Dirtbag status up on Discord, as well as being able to message me privately, one-on-one, anytime, any day. Questions, comments, list ideas, and tactics. Grandmasters, you guys are fucking baller. You guys get ideas, tactics, and also TTS games and ideas that you guys get to see live, and video suggestions as well. So if you guys have any suggestions, you guys are Grandmasters, hit me up on Discord so that way we can make videos like this one so you guys can see it and get better at the game. So that's the whole goal of 40k Dirtbags, is to get you guys better at 10th edition. So in this video, I have a whole list for you guys to go over. It's going to be kind of not in any specific order, but Grey Knight movement phase. Everything about 10th edition is secondaries. We have one of the best ways to get secondaries in this edition, I would say, besides Genesteal or Colton, maybe. I still haven't played them, but I hear fucking horror stories with them. But when you're making a list, you need enough units and movement to get across the table, or block out different armies, stuff like that. In this edition, there's not a lot of ways to block out an army. Out of all the games I've played, there wasn't an army that I played that was able to literally block me out of anything on their side of the table. Our specific strats to be able to deep strike within 3 inches, walk in from the table edge, teleport every single turn up to 3-4 units, it gives us a huge advantage against other armies and getting points really quickly, even though we can't kill as much as the enemy team, or we can't kill like we did in 9th edition. 9th edition, we were super scary, super killy, a lot of rerolls to wound, higher AP, like everything was better in 9th edition. 10th edition, it's more strategic. It's 4D chess. It's being able to know where you're going to move your guys in the movement phase a step ahead. So a lot of it's going to come down to what secondaries you get, who's going first, who's going second, what units you have in your army, and we're going to try and go over as much as that in this video as possible, so hopefully you guys can take some notes and hopefully apply it to your next game coming up for Grey Knight 10th edition. So first thing on the list is we literally have probably the best movement army in the game. No lie, we can literally go anywhere we want, get vectors or line of sight on almost anything in the game. So first off, you picked an army that is basically going to win it based off the movement phase. Next is Psychic phase, basically changed to our movement phase. So if you played this army in 9th edition, we had the Psychic phase, we owned the Psychic phase with the 1,000 Suns. Now we're owning the movement phase, just getting rid of the Psychic phase because most of our Psychics just went away. We win games in the movement phase. You guys probably heard that saying before. You win by setting up your army, by moving, hiding, and stealing objectives in the movement phase. That is even more crucial in 10th edition. You're going to win based off the movement phase. If you move a guy and you didn't think of another unit moving up and charging you, or getting into a line of sight and shooting you, which has happened plenty of times to both of us, you have to be able to plan that ahead of time and make sure you move your guys so that way you don't get too hit hard back on the enemy team. So you have to win games in the movement phase. Teleport Assault is up to 3 units. We can deep strike, we can first to the fray, we can put things into reserve. My list that I've been running recently has 1 unit, which is first to the fray, the Librarian with 5 Terminators. They have the banner, so having Terminators be one of your battle line units and getting a banner, they're OPSEC 3. So bringing first to the fray into your list is super crucial, especially for secondaries. If I can steal your home objective, let's say I pull that card, steal enemy home objective for 8 victory points, I could potentially get that turn 1 with my first to the fray target, landing within 3 inches of your home field objective. I don't care. I mean, you most likely will try and Overwatch, but then I can use my Kaladesh Assassin to make that Overwatch cost 2 CP for the rest of the game already, and hopefully I'll be able to survive that Overwatch hitting on 6s because they wouldn't have, let's say you're playing Chaos, they don't have all those rerolls yet. So it's just, there's a lot that you can do turn 1 to try and get that, and that happens the first of the fray. The other things that we can deep strike, we got the Assassin that we could deep strike. We could have Drago and his unit deep strike. But having almost everybody in your army have the ability to deep strike gives you a better opportunity to get your secondaries off. If I can keep models in reserves or move models into deep strike, I'm going to do that, specifically starting with my first of the fray. They have to be in deep strike just because they can come down within on the enemy table edge within 3 inches for stratagem, but at least mainly coming down first turn. If I can come down and control one of the objectives in the center of the table, but still be safe behind a cover, example, this ruin up here, if I can just come down, bring my Terminator down turn 1, and just kind of chill in there, I'm now safe from the enemy team on that objective. I can do it with a strike squad if I really want to. If I bring 2 strike squads, one strike squad can start on the table. The other strike squad, if I can't pregame move onto that home field objective, I could just deep strike them in onto the objective. But that'd be turn 2. Ignore that. I'd rather just teleport assault them onto that objective. But mainly with Scout, let's go into Scout. We have units now that have Scout. I don't know why they gave us Scout. I don't know why they gave us a sticky objective, but it's fucking awesome. The entire army has a advanced 6. So if I have my Scout move for my strikes, I'm going to pre-game start them as far forward but defensive as possible. Here's my strikes, just to give you an example. We can start, halfway up the board most of the time. So this is, let's say this board is 44, so we're going to start 22 inches up. But I want to make sure that I'm actually in cover. So if these guys Scout move back 6 inches because I don't have turn 1, they can then Scout move behind this ruin so I don't get shot. Okay, that's defensive. If you do get turn 1, you can then Scout move up 6 inches. Sometimes you can get onto an objective, like if I can Scout move onto the home field objective, I then start my turn on turn 1. That center objective is now sticky, and then I get to advance them 12 inches over to this objective automatically because they move 6 and then auto advance 6. Now they moved over to that objective. That's just on turn 1. So turn 1, there's been so many times where I've gotten sticky objectives on the center board, and then I flew over behind cover onto the other side of the table 12 inches away. So you essentially have an 18-inch movement turn 1. You move up, Scout move 6 inches, and then you run 12 inches after that. Most of the time, turn 1, you're not going to be able to shoot anything. We don't have any shooting on our guys anyway. So they're just going to kind of move up and either do actions. You can spend 1 CP to do an action on that objective by turning their weapons into assault. So there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages with the strikes having Scout move turn 1. So not only do we have deep strike, not only do we have reserves with our exaction units, not only do we have first to the fray, not only do we have teleport assault, we have fucking Scout and sticky objectives on our strikes. So we are super fast just spreading across the table. Just like in 9th edition, we had our teleport assault, which was 2 fucking CP to shunt all the way across the table. Now we do it with three units at the end of the opponent's turn. So the teleport assault is such a cool army strat, especially for Grey Knights, because it just makes sense. We're literally teleporting in and out of the warp constantly. So that's basically the whole point of us getting that. I like that in 10th edition. They did a lot of lore stuff. A lot of units, armies is lore based. So with that thing, that's really cool. Let's say they have turn 1. These guys Scout moved, back behind the building to be safe. This guy didn't come down yet because he is first of the fray. So he has turn 1. My first setup is my purifiers behind this wall, just kind of chilling. My paladins all the way in the back here. That's another benefit to Grey Knights, is you can literally start your army anywhere on your side of the table as long as they don't get shot, because at the end of the opponent's turn, you're able to fucking pick them up with teleport assault and put them literally anywhere on the table. So we started our purifiers behind this wall so they can't be shot at. We started our paladins behind this wall all the way in the back so they can't be shot at. And then let's say the opponent goes first. Well, it's turn 1. Teleport assault doesn't stop you from teleporting assault turn 1. Deep striking and arriving via from reserves, you can't come in unless you have first of the fray. So teleport assault a little bit different. You can then pick your guys up at the end of the movement phase, the opponent movement phase, or turn, sorry, the opponent turn. You get to pick up to 3 units, and then in your reserves, you get to put them down anywhere on the table on turn 1. So turn 1, you can have a really big kind of alpha strike if you don't go first. But if you do go first, you can then spread out a little bit further, get some sticky objectives, and then at the end of the opponent's turn on the bottom of turn 1, top of turn 2, you can have a really, really, really good turn 2. So that is really beneficial, is being able to deploy our army really anywhere on the table as long as they can't be shot at. And then we still have our first of the fray target off the table that won't be shot at as well. So being able to auto advance 6, we gain fly as a keyword as well. Now with infantry, the word fly, you don't have to fly up and down. You can go right through walls with fly. It's one of the best keywords infantry in the game, is being able to go through walls. If you're a vehicle or a monster, you have to go up and down. That's the difference in 10th edition, is the fly keyword is you have to go up, measure over, and then measure down. With infantry, you just literally fly through the walls. Sigil on an entire unit. That was a huge change from 9th edition to 10th edition, is the enhancement used to be a relic that you could put on your Grandmaster, or really any character, but mainly it went on your Dread Knight Grandmaster, who used to be really good. Now it's not, but you can now put it on an entire unit. So when you put it on an entire unit, you have an entire blob that if they get targeted by a ranged attack, you can then pick them up and put them back down anywhere on the table. This was a really good stratagem that I used the other game against Mike. So he was going into my home field objective. He brought his Terminators down at the end of my movement phase, rapid ingress, and then he had taken over my home field objective for 8 points. What I did was I had my Paladins kind of all the way on the other side of the table. He moved up most of his army to shoot at my Paladins. I told him multiple times about Sigil, so I wasn't a dick about it. He then targeted my Paladins with Sigil. I then said, all right, I'm gonna pick him up. I picked him up and I deep struck him right on top of my home field objective, which I was still outside of 9 inches of him. So I basically took my home field objective back over, so that way if he did charge my Exactor squad that was on that objective, because he was expecting to charge them, kill them, and take over my objective for 8 points, I held my backfield objective with Sigil, which was the best Sigil I've had in a very, very long time. So that's an example of what you can do with Sigil, because it has to be picked up and brought back down that same turn. You don't go back into reserves like our other stratagems. You basically just move them out of harm's way, so that way it sets you up for a very good next turn. Now, another way that you can do Sigil is, let's say you just Sigil and you really want to be in this table quarter. You literally just Sigil on the other side of this wall, as long as you can't be seen from most of the other army. You just basically Sigil in the cover or on the other side of the wall, so that way they can then pick another target, but they can't shoot the target that they really want to shoot. You don't have to Sigil if you don't want to. They target you and it's a couple bolter shots and you're like, it's fine, I'll live through it. Then you don't have to Sigil. You could save Sigil towards later in the game. Having Sigil towards the end of the game, it makes that unit almost unkillable. The Grandmaster with the Paladins, giving a free strat to not be shot outside of 12 inches, which is one of our 2 CP strats. He can do it once per game for free. So if you put him up on super high building, shooting down to get plunging fire, you can then pop that in the movement phase, so that way they can't be shot at for 1 turn. Then next turn they just stay up there and shoot down again. So that's 2 turns of shooting without being shot at, and then they still have Sigil in their back pocket. So if they do shoot at you that turn, you can then just pick them back up, put them somewhere on the table, or put them back down all the way at the bottom, out of line of sight. So 2 to 3 turns of not being shot at against a Paladin, a full 10-man Paladin blob, is super scary. So Sigil honestly is one of the best enhancements that we can get. First of the fray and Sigil, I think, should be in almost every single Grey Knight list if you can afford it. If you can't, try to afford it, because it's definitely really good for secondaries and being super defensive with our super expensive army. The next thing is we can spend 1 CP to go back into reserves. Now, how that works is I made a lot of mistakes starting off in 10th edition. Was I would just kind of run my guys forward because I was still used to 9th edition, and I would be within 5, maybe 4 inches of the enemy units. I'm trying to block them off, screening them out. And it doesn't really work that well with our strats now. So here's an example. This is the enemy unit. They're right there controlling the objective. I'm going to kind of move up and advance, let's say 12 inches up to here. Now I'm like pretty close to them. I'm stealing the objective. I couldn't really shoot at them because let's say it's a big knight or something. Now I'm trying to block them out of the center, so that way they can't really walk up and get into my zone. Now this was the mistake. So if he's a melee unit, all he has to do is not move and then charge me. And if he does that, I can't use my 1 CP strat to get out of dodge. So the benefit, or the better plan here, is only tag like one guy on the objective, making that charge, you know, harder for them. Let's say they're right there, or right on the edge. Like, let's say they're toning the objective, you're toning the objective to steal the objective. They now have a 8-inch charge compared to a 3-inch charge. So keep it to your advantage, because if they do move up, let's say they want to try and get a better charge on you, they move up, you can spend 1 CP to move back 6 inches, or you can spend 1 CP to get them out of dodge. We're going to spend 1 CP to get them out of dodge. Now they get taken off the table, and they go back into reserves. So now they're out of dodge, because they moved up. It's going to take your opponents a couple turns to get used to that, or they're just never going to get used to it. I played a Blood Angel player where he had a 10-man Golden Boy squad with Dante, and he was just flying all over the table. I just kept picking up my Paladin blob and putting him back into reserves, and he could never get into combat with them because he kept moving up to try and get a charge off. Now, if a smart player does it, they're going to try and stay 9 inches away, and if they have any bonuses to charge, let's say they get +1 to charge or an auto 6 or whatever it may be, that's going to be the only way that they can get into combat with me if they can make that 9-inch charge. Other than that, if they move within 9 inches, I just get the fuck out of dodge and not have to worry about it. So that is another example of one of our best strats that we have, is just putting our units back into reserves. Here's a good tactic if you guys haven't done this yet and you're pretty good on CP, you don't have to worry about CP as much. Let's say you have Cody Edge, you're getting CP, or you just have saved up your CP a lot. You can spend 2 CP in the same turn by picking your unit up in when that unit ends their movement phase. You then get to pick them up and put them in reserves. At the end of their movement phase, which they're still moving other units, now they're done moving, you can spend 1 CP and rapid ingress that unit that you just picked up back onto the table, which I've done plenty of times. So this Purifier squad is now going to come back in over here, either steal an objective, get behind a wall, be safe for 1 more turn. I'm out of like 12 inches of this unit, so I don't get charged in my chargement phase. But I basically rapid ingress back down where I want them to be for the next turn, so that way I can move up 6 inches, flame the shit out of something, and then charge something else. That's such a good strat. I did that for the Paladins in the RTT video that we went 3-0 with. So I basically picked them back up, and I teleported them back to where my unit was going to get charged by another unit, and now they're basically bodyguards for that strike unit on the objective. It blocks your objectives. It stops people from getting charges off on you. You can use that free strat from your Grandmaster to counter charge when they charge you. So there's a lot of different combos that you can do with that rapid ingress coming back down in the same turn. So that's another good strategy that I've been doing a lot to help out with the Grey Knights. So if you guys have that in your back pocket, make sure if you really need that 1 CP for the defensive strat of -1 AP, save it for that. But if you really want to bring that back down in that turn, so that way you can move on to do something next turn, you could do that way. But if you really need that 1 CP, try and save it, because on your turn you're going to get another CP anyway. So that is another really good tactic, is bringing them back up and bring them back down. Now, come within 3 inches and steal anything is one of my favorite strats. If you're going against Grey Knights, that's definitely one of the best ones to use the extra CP strat for if you have a Caldas Assassin or a Cypher. I'm sorry I'm telling that, but it is a really good strat to stop because it helps with our secondaries. So let's say we have turn 1, and I have my Libby with my 5 Terminators off the board. They have, a couple guys in this back objective. They're just waiting to play their turn or their game. They don't have a ton on there. I can spend 1 CP in the first turn and bring these guys down within or outside of 3 inches onto this objective. Oh my god, throwing metal, guys. All right, down here, just outside of 3 inches onto this objective. So everybody's outside of 3 inches. And this is just to give you an example, but I can fit, let's say, those 5 guys on my Libby. Can't be because there's somebody, I don't know, over here, right? So I'm outside of 3 inches of everybody over here. I was able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys on the objective, which is 15 OBSEC. 15 OBSEC, I just stole their home field objective. So on turn 1, they're not going to get any primary points, but I have secondaries that I'm trying to get. So my secondary could have been 8 points for stealing the home field objective, stealing an objective that you didn't have prior, controlling an objective on their side of the table, getting behind enemy lines, whatever it may be. I now have first of the fray. I came within right outside 3 inches of the enemy, and I stole an objective. That is good for the entire game. The entire game, I've stolen so many objectives from knights with that unit right there. Having a 3-person each OBSEC, stealing it even against a 10 OBSEC knight is hilarious, and one of our best strats that we have in this edition. So use that to your advantage by stealing objectives as much as possible. Another really good strat is the Purify unit. So we have a 395 man point Purify unit that we can come within 3 inches and just mow down lone operatives, characters that are solo, units that are in the backfield on objectives. And usually when we come down, we most likely are going to get overwatched. But if they kill our Purify unit, we hit on 2s. So usually I can come down, within 3 inches. If it's turn 2, I'm at a 2 CP. Come down within 3 inches, spend 1 CP to get -1 AP. I'm in cover, so I'm ignoring everything AP2 and below. So AP2, I get a 2-up save anyway. So there's a lot of ways to make those guys super survivable. And if one guy dies, my entire unit hits on 2s. Worth it. I want them to shoot me. So I do the same thing with my Purify unit, is I come down within 3 inches, or right outside 3 inches, and I just nuke something with them. They have 4 flamers, they have Purify Flame, which is now going to hit on 2s, Anti-Infantry 2+, -1 AP, and ignore cover. So the flamers ignore cover, and the Purify Flame ignore cover, which is basically 20 to 24 shots of Purify Flame coming down and just nuking something. So you might be able to spend 1 CP if you don't get shot at with Overwatch. You can spend 1 CP and hit on 2s anyway, turning everything into, I think, assault weapons and +1 to hit. Haloed and Soulfire, I'm not sure if that's the right one, but they can spend 1 CP to hit on 2s anyway. So they're a really good unit to come down and surprise your opponent by saying, hey, here's all the flame for the Purify unit. So it's really good for the Terminator unit, and it's really good for the Purifiers. So that 3-inch strat is huge. Use Plunging if you can. So there's going to be a lot of terrain that you're not going to be able to get Plunging from. But here's an example. This is a WTC, ITC terrain. It's basically super high, 3 stories. And what we could do with this is, since we have fly, technically, we can fly up to the top, but we're going to mainly use teleport assault. So we're going to be able to teleport assault our guys, especially our side cannons, up to the top here, putting our entire bases on that floor, so that way they all fit. And all of our side cannons that we care about the most are going to be up top here. So in this scenario, we're able to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is exactly 6 side cannons in our 10-man blob. They're able to shoot down and get plunging fire. Now, if there's a model that is within 3 inches, let's say right there, I have to stay 3 inches away from that model horizontally. So this is a legal deep strike if I spend 1 CP. So I'm 3 inches away, outside of 3 inches away, so I'm able to land up here. It's 9 inches away this way if you don't want to spend that 1 CP. So they have to be at least 9 inches away like this to land on top of this building legally, or you have to spend 1 CP to land up there as long as you're outside of 3 inches from that model. It's not going diagonal, it's not going horizontally, it's going vertically, it's going horizontally. You can't measure vertically. Vertically, it's super easy because I'm literally 9.5 away this way, but it has to be this way. All right, so that's a rule that you have to remember. So I can basically teleport assault up to the top building, or at least 6 inches up on any of the ruins, and then shoot down to get plunging fire. Plunging fire is a ruin special ability where you get +1 to your AP on your weapon. And that's basically it. So we're using it to try and get AP2 side cannons, or even AP2 flamers. To get a flamer ability to do it, you basically have to be at least 8 inches, I think it's 8 inches up. That's the max distance up to shoot somebody 9 inches away down, or 12 inches away down, because it's a 12-inch flamer. You can be max 8 inches up, math, right? So max 8 inches up to shoot 12 inches down to get an AP2 ignoring cover flamer on your enemy. So that's some way to get plunging fire to your advantage. Grenades have one of the best ways to do that, besides assassins. So being able to fly up to the top floor, if we want to do it that way, spend 1 CP to shoot down, or just use teleport assault, hop up there, shoot down, get some AP2 side cannon shots onto the enemy. So plunging fire is awesome for 10th edition. Come within 3 and stealing everything we already went over, using plunging fire if you can. Deploy anywhere at the start of the battle. So we basically went over that. You can literally put any of your army anywhere on the table on your side as long as they're not being shot at, and then not have to worry about it. Before, you had to make sure that you can get within distances and get ranges on everything and move and all that stuff. This edition, you don't even care. You're just like, you know what? I'm putting this fucking 600-point unit all the way in my back corner. I don't give a shit, because on your turn, I'm going to be dropping them all the way on your side of the table and going after you. So that is huge. Strikes, we already went over the scout moves. Focus fire, 3 units, kill, take over table edge. So this is what really helped me in the Custodes matchup. Custodes, I ran against a tournament list. It was 30 fucking Custodial Guard, 2 captains, Trajan, and a bunch of small infantry units. Now, having 3 big-ass units on the other side of the table that are super tanky, super hard to kill, you really need a focus fire. What really helped me get down 1 unit at a time, we killed 2 full units of the Custodes, and we still have 1 10-man unit on the other side of the table, is focus fire. So if I have my army, which is the Grey Knights, I'm running Purifiers and Paladins, and I have 2 strike squads and Olivia with a Terminator squad. That's my list, essentially. So I'm going to use my Paladins and my Purifiers to literally focus down, and my 2 Livies to focus down 1 squad, nuke it off the table, hopefully, or whittle it down a lot, and then take over that side of the table. So using Sigil to your advantage and using the 9-inch get the fuck out of dodge to your advantage is so strong. One game against Knights, I had my Purifiers and my Paladins on my home field objective in front of a big-ass Knight. The big-ass Knight moved up. I then spent 1 CP to get my Purifiers out of dodge, which left my Paladins there. He then shot my Paladins, and then my Paladins sigiled away into another side of the table, which left my home field objective wide open. But he couldn't charge anything. He already moved. He can't charge anything because there's nothing there. So my objective was still sticky from the strikes. I then got that objective on my turn in my command phase. So I was able to still get 5 points for my objective. He couldn't get that secondary by taking over the home field objective because I was able to keep those guys together and kind of teleport them on the table together. So using your units to kind of teleport together and just clear off a zone, clear off an objective, is going to be huge for Grey Knights. And we definitely have a good way to do that because we can teleport 3 units a turn. Not including the one that goes back into reserves, and not including first of the fray or Libby deep striking in from reserves. So, Assassin. So the Assassin should be in almost every single Grey Knight list. The Kaldis Assassin. The Kaldis Assassin has her own built-in teleport assault. Every single turn at the end of your opponent's turn, you're able to pick her up and put her back on the table 9 inches away from the enemy target in your reserve space. So we already have 3 units that can teleport assault. We have 1 guy coming in from first to the fray, and we have a teleporting fucking assassin. So we essentially have 5 units, 6 if we had somebody else come in from the table edge. So essentially 6+ units that we can teleport every single turn. So think about your opponent. What the hell do you do against that? It's very hard to face because you don't know where the hell they're going to be. They're literally popping in and out of warp all over the place, and the assassin just using her polymorph ability to get teleport assaulted all over the table. It's not teleport assault, it's not called that. It's called polymorph, where that she can literally place herself anywhere. She is one of the best units in the game for secondaries, and she's really good at just increasing the CP on your opponent once per game. So having her in our army makes us even better in the movement phase and getting across the table to do secondaries. Her alone has Lone Operative. I'm going to do a video specifically just on her, but her alone having Lone Operative, being able to hop all the way on this side of the table and just be right, kind of like, just to show you, like right in the open, outside of 12 inches of everything, can't shoot at her. And then at the end of your turn, I'm just going to pick her back up again because she did her action. And I'm going to teleport her in this corner over here to do another action, teleport Homer or whatever it is to do it in the corner, plus behind enemy lines, plus engage. Like, she can literally just do so many secondaries by herself because of that teleport assault ability. So she's very good to combo with Grey Knights in this edition. So lastly, the Exaction squad. So the Exaction squad, if you haven't seen it, it's 35 points. It's in the Inquisitor Codex or rulebook, and the 35 points, they have a 5-up Field of Pain. And with Grey Knights being so expensive, we need as little points for chaff units as possible. Our second lowest points is fucking Servitors. Servitors are 50 points and their OPSEC is 0. Exaction squads are 35 points and their OPSEC 1, plus they have a 4-up, 5-up Field of Pain. Sure. So these guys have survived so much shooting. They actually survived 2 obliterators shooting at them last game against Mike. So 2 obliterators shot at them. He did the wrong profile. He did the bottom one. He should have done the middle one. But he did the bottom one at AP 1 maybe. So I got cover. So I had a 4-up save and then a 5-up feel no pain. So I made a bunch of 4-ups and then I failed 2 and I rolled 2 5s and then they lived. So literally, the Exaction squad lived against a 160-point obliterator unit, which was hilarious. So these guys in the Grey Knight Codex are mainly there for secondaries. You're not going to use them to kill shit. You're not going to use them to kind of like charge and kill something. I mean, they're decent, but you're not bringing them there for that. You're bringing them there specifically for the movement phase, walking in from the table edge, using them to screen out other units, and just doing the secondaries the best they can. So that is the whole goal of the Exaction squad. I put mine in reserves, so that way they can walk on. They're super tiny. They can walk on the table edge. They can steal an objective if the objective is 6 inches away from the table edge. They can block out from other units' deep strikes, and also they can come on and flamer with a Weber and then shoot some shotguns at a target. They do a lot of stuff. So they do a lot of different things that is what Grey Knights are lacking, is really cheap units to do actions with. So they get behind enemy lines, they get engaged on all fronts, they can do actions in corners, they can take over objectives, they can charge something on an objective to try and take it over, which I did against Blood Angels. He had a whirlwind in the back. I walked on, charged the whirlwind on a 9, and then took over that backfield objective. So that is what that unit's specifically for, is just to be a nuisance and get as many secondary points as you can before they die. 35 points, they made up their points if they come on and do like a 5-point secondary. They made their points. So that is going to be the last thing that helps us with our movement phase. So all these tactics and tricks, hopefully these guys will help you guys out and get better at the Grey Knight in 10th edition. Now, all this stuff is going to be coming up on Patreon first. I usually post all the videos that I do ahead of time on Patreon. So if you guys don't want to wait, head over to the Patreon, go join the Patreon page. If you guys like these tactics, I can do these tactics one-on-one with you on Discord if you guys join the competitive dirtbag or Grandmaster dirtbag up on Patreon. If you guys just want to get better at the game as a whole, not just with Grey Knights, but as a whole, that's what the Patreon is for. So I appreciate all my Patreons. Again, I wouldn't be doing this without you. Hopefully these tactics help you guys out. I love doing stuff like this. I kind of set up everything. All this camera work, lights, video, everything is from you guys over at Patreon. YouTube doesn't pay enough. It's all from the Patreon. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for clicking on the video. Let me know in the comments below if I missed any tactics you guys like. Holy shit, this is what's been working for me. Share it. Go post it on Discord and let me know what you guys thought about the video. Good luck, and hopefully we see another video soon. Pause. Let me tell you videos that are coming up on Patreon first. We got list building ideas for 10th edition, movement phase for Grey Knights, which is this one, movement phase tactics as a whole, best Chaos Space Marine units, points versus value, ally units, fill in gaps with points, best Grey Knight allies, Cypher versus Calidus strats and best strategies for -1 CP, Grey Knights versus Armor, sad face, and then the charge phase new strats. We just wrapped that video up as well. So guys, thanks for clicking on the video. Good luck, and we'll see you in another video soon.